and The Point for another Choice event coming soon.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jerry Roberts. What's happening in the workplace?
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam. 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Concerns about more wind in Southern California. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News. The winds forecast to kick up again this week in Los Angeles, increasing the danger of spreading wildfires.
Be prepared to evacuate. We keep going back to that. But with this next wind event, got to stay informed. Follow all evacuation warnings and orders. And the key here is without delay.
That's L.A. Fire Chief Kristen Crowley. Fox's Max Gordon has more from Malibu.
The scope of the devastation really is jaw-dropping. The Palisades fire burned right up to the Pacific Ocean. Multi-million-dollar homes reduced to ashes. Now, where we are, the fire burned right up to the Pacific, had nowhere to go. But on the eastern end of the fire, that's where we saw the bulk of the fire activity. The fire making a run for the neighborhood of Brentwood. Firefighters say that things are relatively buttoned up there, but the threat is not yet over. We're expecting more high winds into next week.
And at least 24 people are confirmed dead. President Biden promising extensive federal support for California, but some are claiming the response is stagnant.
President Biden is here at the White House meeting with senior officials, getting the latest briefings on those fires in Los Angeles. The White House saying President Biden meeting with his FEMA and DHS chiefs. And over on ABC, Deanne Criswell was asked why hundreds of active duty forces, including Marines, have not been used to combat the fires. Late last week, 10 Navy helicopters arrived from San Diego. They have also not been used. On Sunday morning futures, Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty was critical of officials in Los Angeles and in California, including Governor Gavin Newsom. He says he wants to hold hearings to find out what went wrong with this response.
And that is Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. America's listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
Well, President Biden speaking on Sunday with Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. They discussed the ongoing negotiations in Doha for a ceasefire and hostage release deal. This based on the May 2024 arrangement endorsed by the UN Security Council. The White House says the president stressed the immediate need for a ceasefire in Gaza and the return of the hostages. Uber is offering young would-be drivers who flunked their driver's exam free access to some rides. The giveaway sure to cheer up discouraged driving test takers. The rideshare giant says the giveaway good for 6 rides, each worth a maximum of $20, and that offer goes through the end of March of 2025. Gas prices remain stagnant over the last 3 weeks. Oil industry analyst Trilby Lundberg, who's the publisher of the Lundberg survey, says the national average for a gallon of unleaded regular rose a penny to $3.14. Lundberg telling us who's paying the most and who's paying the least.
The low end in our January 10 survey, Houston is $2.53, and the high average is Honolulu at $4.50, Denver $2.78, Philadelphia $3.17, Los Angeles is $4.35.
Lundberg says crude oil prices rose 17 cents over the same time period. That could lead to a bit of an increase at the pump in the near future. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer expressed a concern about the rising cost of eggs. The senator says the problems that contain bird flu must be maintained.
When you do slashing across the board, it hurts average people. In this case, the price of eggs.
Senator Schumer warning anyone in the new Congress or in the new Department of Government Efficiency not to cut bird flu containment programs. And the South recovering, thawing, warmer weather, melting the snow and the ice. Crews restored power to parts of North and South Carolina this weekend. Tens of thousands of customers lost electricity over the last few days. Major airports in the Southeast saying now that runways are operational. I'm Ted Linder. This is Fox News.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's the time of the year for Wow. It's my Wow January special. Get 10 pieces of my finger-licking good KFC fried chicken plus 2 large red rice, all for just $25. Whether you're feeding the family or just hungry for some of my good old fried chicken, KFC's got you covered. Hurry down to your nearest KFC today or order at kfcguam.com, because my Wow January special is only available for a limited time. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Attention, all sales superstars. Choice Broadcasting is looking for a dynamic radio sales executive to join our winning team. Do you thrive on building relationships, have a knack for closing deals, and love the fast pace of radio sales? If so, we want you. You'll enjoy a competitive salary, excellent commissions, and the chance to work with the best in the broadcasting business. Apply now at the Choice Broadcasting office in Tumuning.
Listen to The Point anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Find your favorite stations like The Point and discover more. Music stations, local and trusted news sources, sports talk and team coverage, plus today's biggest podcasts. Find it all on the Odyssey app. AUDACY.
Hi, this is Jerry Roberts. What's happening in the workplace? What about your job and career? What ideas will find their way into your world? That's what you get with the Extra Point every day on The Ray Gibson Show here on 93.3 FM. Sometimes it's about what's in the news, or working relationships, or how to get further and do better. I try to make it interesting, inspiring, and hopefully sneak a little fun in too. Be a part of it. 7:25 weekday mornings. The Extra Point. Brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank.
You are listening to Veterans with Benefits on this very fine Monday afternoon with your hosts, Anthony Tyron and Corinna Ballista.
Half a day. Welcome back. A new show. All right. You're listening to us on The Point 93.3. You can call into 671-888-TALK. Of course, we want to always thank our sponsors, Ambrose Inc., Zuilo.org, Hephzibah Clinic, American Legion. We just had steak at their steak day. It was so good. Yes?
Yes,
so
it was awesome. It's usually the second week of...
Second Saturday.
Second Saturday of every month.
Yes.
And go down there, take a look at Chris Turan and the gang down there. And, this past Saturday, it was very, very full. Yeah.
There was nowhere to park.
Yeah. And it was full. So it was full since they started at about 12, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
So
we went about 2.
And it was still full. So can you imagine?
Yeah.
I think there were a couple games on.
But yes, that's right.
As soon as the game was over, they left.
Okay. But it's a good deal anyway. It's $25 for steak. You got to get there early or get there and order early. I don't think there's anybody on island that competes with them, and we'll leave it at that.
Yes.
Plus, when you do that, you're supporting our veterans. So get over to the Legion on the second Saturday next month and get your steak and have a good time.
Yes. And then Master Blasters and then 11Zs. They offer 11% discount for active duty and military. And then didn't you ask Mr.
So Eli just started working over there, and according to our guest in station, he did a good job, so he should keep his job. And then Eli's favorite drink is the Sapphire Amethyst.
Yes, that's yummy.
It's a tea. It's pretty good, and it's very colorful.
Yes.
It's purple and orange or yellow.
So it uses the butterfly flower, and that's what makes it that color. It's really good.
Okay.
And then Domino's, who sponsors our Veteran of the Week. Yes. And then the Most Services. That's Rob Jackson. We had him on last week. Yes?
That's correct.
Yes, we had him on last week. And then Veteran of the Week. We always start for Veteran of the Week. Veteran of the Week is Tom Mendiola. He was stationed at Warrior Base Tent City, DMZ, Korea from 1984 to 1985. He was in infantry, 11 Bravo in the Army. Upon being interviewed, he was silent about a lot of his military service, to include Africa and what was known as the Quiet War in Korea. I think we're showing some pictures of the tent city at the Warrior Base in Korea. He's there. Yes, he's there at the Warrior Base in Korea from in the Army. He's currently, today, with the Fellowship Motorcycle Group with veterans and the community who have led funeral escorts continuously. Although it's not a nonprofit organization, they come together for outreaches as humanitarian hearts. He's been a familiar face at the Guam Veteran Cemetery since 2018. He is the only full-time staff and has described the grounds as being surrounded by a group of heroes and their family members that have made our freedom the #1 priority. As a veteran, he shares what he can, but his allegiance of non-disclosure regarding military information will always remain. Thank you, Mr. Mendiola, for your service to our country and your service to our hallowed grounds for those who have sacrificed their lives for our country. Veteran of the Week. Let us honor him for his service. Congratulations, Mr. Mendiola.
Yay, thank you.
Those are really nice pictures, too.
Yes, and you need to make your way over to Domino's Pizza, meet up with Dane. Dane will get you your free pizza. If you don't want your pizza, let me know or grab it and give it to me. Okay, I know a lot of people that want to have a shot at that pizza. Domino's Pizza is delicious.
All right.
Thank you, Dane.
And then I think you're going to share the Veteran Question of the Week and Veteran Tip of the Week. And then after that, you'd like to say hello to some people.
Very well. We have our marching orders here. If you disagree with your VA disability rating, you have the right to appeal the decision. The appeals process allows you to request a review of your case to ensure your disability and its impact are fully and fairly evaluated. Below is a step-by-step guide to navigating the appeals process. Number 1, review your decision letter. Carefully read the VA's decision letter. This document outlines the reasons for your rating decision and the evidence considered. Pay close attention to the medical evidence and the reasoning the VA used to assign your rating. Number 2, file a notice of disagreement. If you believe the rating is incorrect, your first step is to file a notice of disagreement. The NOD formally notifies the VA that you disagree with their decision. You must file the NOD using a form 10182 for decisions made under the Modernization Appeals Process known as the AMA, or Appeals Modernization Act. For legacy appeals, the process is different, but AMA applies to most recent decisions. The deadline to submit the NOD is 1 year from the date on your decision letter. Number 3, choose your appeal option. Under the Appeals Modernization Act, you have 3 review options to choose from. Higher level review. A more senior VA claims adjudicator reviews your case, focusing on the same evidence already submitted. This option does not allow new evidence, but offers a fresh look at your file. Supplemental claim. If you have new and relevant evidence to support your claim, you can file a supplemental claim. This evidence might include updated medical records, buddy statements, or additional opinions from healthcare providers. Board appeal. You can request a review by the Board of Veterans Appeals. Within this option, you can choose direct review. No new evidence is submitted. The board reviews your case as it stands. Evidence submission, you can submit additional evidence for the board to consider. Hearing, you can request a hearing before a veterans law judge to present your case and any additional evidence. Number 5, Gather additional evidence. If you are pursuing a supplemental claim or a board appeal with evidence submission, gather any new and relevant evidence to support your case. This might include updated medical evaluations or diagnoses, buddy statements from fellow service members, friends, or family who can attest to the severity of your condition, letters or reports from your health care providers explaining the impact of your condition on your daily life and the ability to work. Number 6, track your appeal. Once your appeal is filed, you can track its progress through va.gov or by contacting the VA directly. Processing times vary depending on the type of review and the evidence submitted, but you can stay updated through the VA's portal. Number 8, be patient and persistent. The appeals process takes time. Tip of the week, staying connected with other veterans. Stay connected with local veterans community on Guam through veteran groups or social media. Networking with fellow veterans can provide support and camaraderie.
All right. Thank you. Did you want to say hello?
Sure. I wanted to say hello to Knox and Aaliyah.
All right. And so a few things we're going to talk about before we introduce our guest. We, last week, we had benefits boot camp, right? We had benefits boot camp in Assen. Thank you, Mayor. That was a really good boot camp. Veterans really loved the location, and we had enough seats for those that registered. So a lot, even though we had them in different villages, those in the north say, "Hey, can you have it in the north?" But we do have veterans that travel from the north each night to attend. And then we also had visitors come.
Yes, we had some folks from Denver. They're folks that are doing research. As we spoke to them, they had a good time out here. They had a philanthropic donor who wanted them to take what they do and bring it out here to the island.
To the Pacific, yes.
So they mentioned Guam, and of course, Dr. Brian had a 24-year wait to get out here and meet up with her good friend over at Gita.
Brian. Dr. Brian, right? Brian? How did
It's
she say it?
B-R-Y.
But how did she say it? Was it Brian? I don't know.
I thought it might be Brian.
No, it's Brian.
Hey,
I think it's
tomato,
Brian.
tomato. Really? You're really going to go after that?
Brian.
Okay, she's going to call in and we're going to get the right answer from her.
Yes, they're going to call in.
It's not Fred.
But her and Mel are good friends, and that's what also brought her out here. So she finally had her opportunity to get to Guam and visit and say hello. So they're going to be doing great things out here. We've already reached out to them, and we're taking care of the things that they might be needing out here, and we really want to make that happen for them, because the type of research they're going to be doing is going to be very useful for our people out here. And we also want to say good things about the philanthropic donor who said that they should come out here to the islands, and we thank them for everything that they've done.
Face to Fight, I think it was called. Face to Fight.
Yes.
Yes. And then we also attended, so that was Tuesday, Wednesday. Our show was on Monday. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we had the benefits boot camp. And then Friday, we had the Guam Veterans Task Force. Not Guam Veterans Task Force, Guam Veteran Convention. I don't know why I said task force. I think because I'm thinking about it, because that's happening this week. But the convention at Dusit, I know we have some photos that we posted. So we did get some feedback, of course, those that attended with us. I do want to read one of the feedback that that we received, because it's important to always do feedback. And then these were public funds. Remember, these were public funds, because this money was appropriated by the legislature to the GOVA office to have this for veterans. So I think Jose's showing some pictures there. That's the table that we were on. So that's Bill, Mary Uggan, Eddie Andres, and then so the one response that I want to read was, how did you hear about the convention? Of course, it was pushed out right through email. email notification to us as a veteran nonprofit organization. So this one said word of mouth is how the veteran heard about it, and then overall experience. So we had 5 options they could pick from. So excellent, good, neutral, fair, and poor. And purple is poor. The event was very disappointing. That's what they replied. What did you like most about the convention? And the veteran put the opportunity to network with fellow veterans. Our next question was, what aspects of the convention did you dislike? Their response was, the convention spent the whole day listening to a variety of 5-minute presentations, but no time was allotted for Q&A to listen to the pulse of the veteran community in attendance, or a panel presentation discussing issues and recommended actions. How would you rate the planning and organization of the event? They rated it fair. Were the timings, which was 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. appropriate? And the responses you could have chosen were yes, no, or other. So they chose to pick other. Their response was the allotted time was fine. However, it could have been more productive. How was the venue? It was at Dusit. We all know Dusit is really nice. So their response was good. The venue met expectations. How would you rate the food? And also the response was good. What was the timing for meals appropriate? Yes. How would you rate presentations? Also fair. And the rating and fair, it went from 1 to 5, 1 being excellent and 5 being poor. So fair was number 4. Did the speakers meet your expectations? And the veteran said neutral. And I guess the response is here. Who was your favorite speaker and why? Senator Salas Mancinani, Legislature Oversight Committee Chairperson, recognized that there is a lot of work to be done to improve the lot of the veterans community. She dispensed with the rhetoric and urged the community get on task forthwith. Did the event meet the themes and title discussed prior to the convention? Not sure what the planned theme was. So yes, no, but then the veteran posted other. So the veteran was not sure what the theme was supposed to be. Did this convention live up to your expectation of what a convention should be? And that was a yes or no question, and the response was no. What suggestions do you have to improve future conventions? Allot time for Q&A, have a panel discussion on urgent veteran-related topics. So that's just one response, but that was the one that just, stuck. And I think I also agree, being a veteran and being one that attended it. Unfortunately, it wasn't streamed, so not many veterans could, experience it or rewatch it. So that was one thing that we attended. Did you have anything to add?
Not right now.
We have a caller?
Oh,
No?
do we?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So that's something that we wanted to talk about. That was one of the events that we had. And then, of course, we have a guest in studio. So did you want to, you introduce him? I'll introduce him.
A man who needs no introduction.
He does need an introduction. He's a very important person.
We'll allow him to tell his story, and he only needs to give half because his introductions, he's done quite a few things on this earth, and he'll let us know all about it. But I'll let him introduce himself. And, sir, you are?
Carl Peterson.
Very well. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm starting my 60th year in business.
Very good.
I have a company named Money Resources. I'm in the financial planning business.
Awesome.
And so that's what I do on Guam.
Okay.
Otherwise, I was a farm boy and grew up milking cows by hand. And feeding the pigs and taking care of the cattle and stacking hay and cutting alfalfa and, all the things that you have to do on a farm if it's a productive farm.
And you do that still here on Guam? You milk cows and, plant alfalfa?
Every day.
A different kind, that is. Okay. And where exactly were you from?
South Dakota.
South Dakota. Oh, man. Very nice.
Very cold this time of the year.
Yeah,
you milk those cows whether it was 30 below or not.
Really?
Every morning and every night.
Now, the the farmhouses must have been a little bit warm.
Yeah, they had to be warm.
Okay, because the cows had to stay cool.
Oh, no, the barn, you mean?
The barn, oh.
The barn, you have cattle in it. The cattle keeps the barn pretty warm.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's not insulated?
No. It's got like a haymow above the floor they're on the ground floor.
Okay.
Then above that is a haymow where you keep the bales of hay that you feed them, and
so kind of insulates.
It kind of insulates
a
from
bit
going up.
But it's still pretty cold, and you got to get from
30 below is pretty cold.
And you got to get, well, considering Guam's temperatures, of course. But if you had, and you still had to get from the house to the barn.
Yes.
And 10 feet of snow.
Not that, but
okay.
Not that much.
Not that much, okay.
But sometimes there was a lot of snow.
Okay.
And you had to do this early in the morning because you had to catch a bus to go to school.
That's
to high school.
Weren't there child labor laws back then?
We milked the cows, and then we separated the milk, separated the cream from the milk, because that was taken to town, and butter was made from it. So
that is.
You had to do the separation, then get ready to go to school.
And these kids are complaining when they have, Lego waffles popping up out of toasters these days. They're spoiled, aren't they?
Well, we never had those kind of waffles. We had waffles, we made it ourselves.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Actually, we had a furnace that used coal, because today you'd use an electric furnace.
That's right. You just press a button and heat comes on.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get back on track. We're going to get in trouble here.
Yes.
So
you're a veteran. You're a veteran.
So you got away from planting alfalfa by joining the military.
Yes, sir.
So you are a veteran.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service.
And he was also our keynote speaker at our Veterans Gala.
That's right.
Yes.
That was awesome. And
that was fun.
Alongside that, you were in one time in your life the CASA. Can you talk about what that is?
The CASA means a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, and your portfolio is to review everything that's happening with regards to Army.
Okay.
And attend the functions and participate in the discussion or whatever comes up. And I did that for 10 years, and then after 10 years, you become CASA Emeritus. So now I'm... Well, you don't automatically become. You get nominated by the Secretary. And so I was nominated, and now I'm CASA Emeritus.
Emeritus. Wow. That's so amazing. We are among some very high-profile person here.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, and that was a job that you did. That's a volunteer job, right? You don't get paid for it.
No.
But you do get to go to D.C. twice a year, maybe?
Not D.C.
I'm
but
sorry.
We'll go to some base to participate in whatever they do.
Okay.
Like it could be going to Fairbanks, and then we fly with helicopters out to Fort Greely, which is where all the big missiles are.
Wow. Okay.
And you see, that's an extreme environment. I mean, it gets 74 below zero there.
Nothing like 30 below.
You have tunnels that they go through, and you can't go outside in that temperature because it'll freeze your liquid on your eye.
Oh, my
goodness. And so you have to wear heated goggles. But anyway, you get to do those things, or go to Fort Bragg and shoot every weapon they have, and you...
And you don't have to be a military person to be the civilian aide, correct?
No, but it helps.
It helps, okay.
And what you did, they know everything about you.
Okay.
So they check to see what you've done in the past, and
I see.
And if you really have an interest to serve as the CASA. And so
and you have reports that you got to turn in every month?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's essentially what you've been doing, places you've visited, the things that are going on out in on the island and things like that, as it relates to the Army or something related to what the Army may or may not be doing?
Mostly the Army, like, for instance, those big white balls that you see over at North Whitfield. Inside is offices.
Oh, wow.
And so one time I made a call on them to see what they're doing, what their needs are, what doesn't get done that should be done, and so I can make a report. But those guys are pretty classified out there, and so they said, "We do what you used to do." I said, "Well, not quite, but anyway, I understand what they're talking about."
Right. All right. Very good. Did you have a question?
Oh, yes. So when we met earlier, you said you wanted to talk about the Medal of Honor.
Well, yes, we've got some applicants on Guam that should be entertained for the Medal of Honor. It's just that there's a process that they go through.
And I hear it's a very lengthy process, and it takes a little while. So it's a long game, and
it's very detailed.
I'm learning a little bit more.
Oh, and I think we need to go on a break, though. We'll be right back. You're listening to us on The Point on 93.3. You can call in to 671-888-TALK. We'll be right back.
Need publicity for your big events? We've got a great feature on The Point's website to help you get your happening noticed for free. Just go to thepoint.gu and look for the community button. Click on submit your event and then fill in the blanks. You can even upload your flyer. Once we approve it, it'll show up on all Choice Broadcasting websites. Did I say it was free? From 5Ks to car washes, lunch plates, fundraisers, whatever. Let us help you get the word out. Free! Get started on thepoint.gu.
At APL, their expertise and extensive work can help you grow your business and reach out to more global markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing their efforts in giving back to the community. APL's dedicated team in Guam and the U.S. mainland are here to support you. Call 588-4651 or visit apl.com.
Thank you for making memories with Star 101, Boss 104, and The Point at our Health and Wellness Expo 2025. Sejus Masi to our sponsors, The Relief Shop, Spa and Wellness,
St. Luke's Referral Office,
Pacific Life Chiropractor,
Guam Cancer Care,
Toto Guam Foundation,
DPHSS Tobacco Program,
Take Care,
DPHSS Cancer Program,
G6 Fitness,
and DPHSS Diabetes Program.
Stay tuned to Boss 104, Star 101, and The Point for another choice event coming soon.
I'm so sorry, Jose. We're back. So normally I have my earphones in and I could, hear when you're trying to prompt me. But I didn't have my earphones in. Anthony didn't have his in. So I saw you. I was like, oh, crap. I think we need to go on break.
Don't include me on what you
yes,
didn't do.
Yes, because your earphone is not in.
That doesn't matter.
You would have heard if there was music.
That's okay. My hand just got a little cramp.
That's in the past. Let's talk about tomorrow.
Here we go. All right. What do you got?
So during the, before we went on break, we were talking about Medal of Honor. So could you share the info that you shared with me earlier?
Well, we already mentioned that it's a long process.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that the secretary, the current secretary, has been appraised of our wishes, but they don't have time to entertain because it's such a long process, and it requires a report of. Actually, if you're going to get the Medal of Honor, somebody has to adjudicate that you deserve the Medal of Honor. In other words, they fulfill the expectation that they saw what you did and how you earned your Medal of Honor, and then they testify or they write a report or it's certified in some way that you really did do this.
Right, and I think if I remember correctly, just doing a brief read up on it, the way it's actually supposed to be done is while you're out there in battle and everything's going on, you know, your superiors are supposed to say, hey, this guy, you know, did this gallant effort and gallantry,
the platoon leader
bravery.
Or the person in charge is responsible for writing up his or her activities of the person deserving the medal.
That's right,
and we don't know where if we don't know where that's at, chances are you're not going to make it.
Right, and that's part of what had come back to be done, right? Because there were many, and there's still quite a few out there that have been nominated, but their packets might still be waiting, right? So the idea, though, is if in fact this is something that we want to take seriously, right? I mean, these are things that we could get an organization to do out here. These are things that maybe national organizations that have been around for quite some time could be continuing to keep these things moving and, you know, in essence, carry the torch because they've been around. They said, okay, if this packet was here, let's keep researching and doing what we need to for that packet so that we can keep moving it up as high as we can get it. So
that's correct. The congressman has been doing his part.
Yes.
He had it in the NDAA.
That's correct.
But it's, you know, an NDAA is a package that is negotiated back and forth from the Senate and the House. And so when the final edition of the NDAA, it wasn't in there.
Right.
So the Senate must have pulled it back.
Right.
But could be because they didn't have any information. Supposedly, the Secretary of the Army had said that we need to have the full package, otherwise we can't entertain it. Everybody gets entertained by a board that goes through every detail of that to determine if you warrant the Medal of Honor.
And what was interesting is in this particular instance, the president awarded these, but these were for folks that were in the Army. And this is why it's important coming from someone like you, because what had been done from the congressman, and by the way, we got together out here and got all of our folks to write letters to the congressman or write letters indicating that we support our heroes from Guam getting the Medal of Honor. So there's a big push out here for that to happen. Now, I think we might be missing some pieces that hopefully we can start, you know, organizing and coming together. So we talk about needing to do so many things, right? If we can't even get some of our local stuff together, much less this information, this is where, as a CASA or emeritus now, right, this information doesn't necessarily come to you directly, right? Because
well, no. Actually, it's unusual that the CASA emeritus would be submitting this because it's the CASA that does it.
Right.
But in this case, it came to me, and so I made the contact with my old contacts.
Yes, and it still worked out.
And it still worked out, yeah.
Which is
all they said, Carl, give me
the packet.
Give me the package, and I will deliver it to the Secretary
of the Army
and hand it to her. It's a woman, and hand it to her personally. And so all I need is that
packet.
But the congressman's going to introduce it in the next version of the Congress.
When they reconvene.
Yeah, but they will try to get as much as they can in order to do it.
And I don't know if there's much else we can be doing down here, right? I think maybe the front office, maybe the senators in the legislature, because already the congressman's doing something, right? We got to keep the things going, right? Maybe we could reach out to the current CASA and, maybe get some input from him. And then you mentioned something to me, Lee Weber also holds a position similar to a CASA.
Similar. It's it's different, but
right.
The idea for the novice, it's similar.
Concept, right?
Yeah,
okay.
It's the Chief of Staff of the Air Force.
Chief of Staff.
He works on the Air Force side.
Okay, very good. And it wouldn't hurt if he's brought up to speed on something like this, and we can maybe put together things from all the different angles.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, we do have some folks that are high-ranking Army people out here. I mean, would that help us? For example, we have some generals, we have some tags that have been out here on Guam. Does that rise to the level of, hey, are these folks able to, use some of their clout and get some push from our folks?
It doesn't hurt.
Gotcha. Okay. And maybe we'll talk about that at our...
Don't forget any possibility.
Got it. And
if you try to succeed at something, you got to cover all the bases.
Very good. And I'm thinking, I think we added you to the Veterans Task Force. So maybe we'll bring this up, and maybe this could be something that, even the task force can maybe just facilitate or start and maybe get an idea of, hey, we need somebody to keep an eye on these things and these kinds of medals, and, reach out to the folks that, might be able to help us to cover all bases and get it lifted forward.
Sure, and other issues too, like, for instance, we have 21,000 veterans on Guam, I'm told.
Yes.
And we have 13,000 that have registered as veterans, so that we have the names and addresses and the details about the veterans of 13,000. But we only have 5,000 using the facilities of the VA clinic.
That's correct.
And so when you get to Washington, they look at big numbers.
Yes.
And to build a facility for healthcare, for instance, or an extension to the Naval Hospital, or whatever is possible, they say, well, this is really just a community of 5,000. So we got to get our veterans to record that they're a veteran and have it registered, so that we can have a bigger population.
And I'd like to dispel that rumor slightly. We have made efforts to look into locations that have smaller numbers of veterans and smaller populations than Guam, like Chico and Chino, California. And these places have facilities much better than what we have. So it is not a numbers game. There are some numbers for some things. And right now, my understanding, if anybody from the VA is listening out there, that the numbers that we're showing actually should be triggering a study to improve the CBOC that we have to get to the next level, because we have the numbers for that to be increased. And for some reason or another, there's this whole game about how many veterans are out here on Guam. And that's something that we really need to work on. And that was something that General Benny Polino wanted us to tackle at the task force. And it's something that we've talked to some people, we've asked some questions. Everybody said they're going to do it, but nobody's done it. Now, if you want HMI to do it, we can get HMI to do it. Now, that's a question that we just have to ask ourselves. We keep thinking that somebody's doing a job that nobody's doing. And we need to stop that kind of an attitude. If we want something, we got to go out there and do it ourselves.
We got to go do it.
Yes.
And you're correct that's the issue. If we got Chico or
Chino,
was it?
Chico and Chino, California, both.
And Chino?
Yeah.
Okay. If they have facilities, well, then all we have to do is document that. That's part of the marketing process in order to get attention. Another point is that we need to check with the two associations, the American Legion
Yes.
as well as the VFW, and get the contacts in Washington,
Yes.
and then go see them.
So the American Legion National Commander came to Guam. When he came here, we told him we want him to mention our name when he gets to Congress in February, because that's when he says he's going to be talking. So we wanted him to talk about that, and I think we put together some information about what's going on out here through our task force and the good, fine people that are on the Guam Veterans Task Force, right? Like Tom Atta, like Eddie Rages.
Sure.
There are a lot of good folks in there, Joe Connolly. So these guys are putting work in to get this information so that we can submit it and start looking like we know what we're doing and saying out here.
We just need to, if you create a herd of caribou going in one direction and you show enough people that they're going in that direction, there'll be a bunch of people run up in the front and said, this is my idea and I'm going to get it done. But you got to have the herd of caribou.
Yes.
So the next step is we all need to do whatever we can to make this happen.
And it'd be a good idea if we're all on the same page, knowing what's really going
That's what
on,
I
so
mean.
so that as we're doing this now, we're like, hey, okay, we got this, and you're absolutely right. There's
And we'll be right back. That's it. We'll save that. We'll save the info, and we'll touch on another topic when we come back. You're listening to us on The Point.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's the time of the year for wow. It's my wow January special. Get 10 pieces of my finger-licking good KFC fried chicken plus 2 large red rice, all for just $25. Whether you're feeding the family or just hungry for some of my good old fried chicken, KFC's got you covered. Hurry down to your nearest KFC today or order at kfcguam.com, because my wow January special is only available for a limited time. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Attention, all sales superstars. Choice Broadcasting is looking for a dynamic radio sales executive to join our winning team. Do you thrive on building relationships, have a knack for closing deals, and love the fast pace of radio sales? If so, we want you. You'll enjoy a competitive salary, excellent commissions, and the chance to work with the best in the broadcasting business. Apply now at the Choice Broadcasting office in Tumuning.
And we're back. Sorry, we're always talking during the break, and then we forget when the red light comes on. Thanks, Jose. Thanks for these red lights. All right, so we're back. You're listening to us on The Point, 93.3. You can still call in to 671-888-TALK. So before we left the break, we were talking about Hospital Chico Chino, California, numbers. We all have to do something, and the carabao. Yes, the carabao. But before we go and continue that conversation, if you're listening and you're a veteran and you haven't filed for your VA claim or registered as a veteran, please come to HMI's Next Benefit Boot Camp, and it's absolutely free. It is February 11 to 13 in Lahan. And to register, just go to www.hmiguam.com, and I think Jose is putting the registration there. So if you're watching online, you just scan that QR code and it's absolutely free. And then there's our whole 2025 schedule. Then in March, it'll be in Santa Rita. April, it will be in Molesto, and May will be in Telefofo. We have the whole year planned out.
And just so you all know, if you're going to get down to Nalahan next month, so far they have made the biggest spread of food, and it was delicious.
So
we might
good.
as well have had a fiesta there all 3 days. So
Yes.
that's thanks to a veteran, Mayor Tony Chargaleff down there. So he does really good down there, and they have quite a few veterans down there, and it's a good way for us to get that information out there.
It wouldn't be a Guam activity if there wasn't any food.
Exactly. And you talk about breaking bread.
You and I can represent that remark.
Yes, we can. I
Plenty
totally
finna
agree with you.
Plenty finna Denny. So let's get back to the numbers, and we all need to do something, and then we'll also touch on what you do today.
Yes, so, man, you have a lot of hats that you
He's
wear.
really busy.
I know.
We
How
invited
did-
him somewhere, and he couldn't even come because you were busy.
Well, he needs a replacement so he can go to the beach and have fun. So we need to get somebody to take over.
Well, if you're having fun, you're not contributing to the community. So, what's your priority?
Okay. Well, you have fun doing what you're doing, so.
Yeah, I do.
All right. So
I
we'll-
enjoy what I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it so many years.
Well, it's not work if you're having fun.
That's right.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, so tell us what you do.
Tell us what you do.
Well, I'm co-author of 4 books, and I'm not even scratching the surface. So, they're telling you what you do is a big. I try to explain it this way: if you live too long, you die too soon, or you get sick, you're incapacitated. We hope to help you fund your standard of living with tax-free dollars.
But tax-free dollars. That is interesting.
And that's what veterans. We talked about this at boot camp because you spoke on the second day. When you came in, you introduced yourself. The veterans would not let you off the front. You did a little presentation about money.
Many times, but that's yesterday. We need to talk about today.
Okay, today.
Go ahead.
Tax-free money.
And today we want to talk about this because here on Guam, the culture has been that we don't look at what you talk about or what you're here to explain. So,
well, you're right, Anthony. But it's pretty much across the country.
Oh, it's interesting.
I mean, the knowledge about using money as a tool to reach your objectives is not void, but it's lacking a lot of knowledge. And so the idea is when we sit down with somebody, we want to sit down. It's not about us. It's about what do you want? What is your objective? And if you don't know what your objective is, well, we mention a few things. Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want, or some people, if you retire tomorrow, where's your next paycheck come from?
Yeah.
And how long's that going to last?
Right.
If you really want to know how much money you have to save, it's a whole lot more than you expect. For instance, I'll make the numbers are easier if I use 1 and zeros.
Yeah.
So if it was 100,000 was the total income, your standard of living is 100,000. Both spouses or whatever, you've got grandkids or whatever. And the average income that we can take from an account and make it last 20, 30 years is 0.035, 3.5% per year of the outstanding balance, and it should keep up with inflation. Because otherwise you get crucified. If you plan your retirement using today's money, well, the cost of living goes up next year and every year until you retire. So you need to have inflation cranked into the
equation.
Yeah, you need to have inflation cranked into your numbers.
So, with that being said, right? So I can't just have somebody just take me as a dependent and pay for everything that I need.
What's her name? We know a few people where it's the mama daddy.
Yeah.
Where the woman is the major earner.
I don't know if Jay-Z will be mad at me, but Beyonce makes a lot of money, right? And if he gets into trouble, she might just come looking for me and take care of me.
Yeah. don't take that to the bank.
Don't. What are you trying to say? Well, we could always dream.
I don't think. Yeah. Well, dreams don't fill your plate with food when you're retired.
That's right. And I think one of the reasons we talked about this, and we've done this before, even when we had started our boot camps, right? We decided, hey, why don't we bring a money person in, right? And I think we brought in First Command, we brought in some other folks, and
I think PenFed.
Yeah, but on the side of like money management,
Yes.
right? Yeah, because I think we also had
Chichi. Didn't
Dr.
Chichi used to
Coma's
come?
wife, Chichi, used to come in, and then her office, and they just did a little spiel. But I think it was at the time we were looking, it's not a lot of money, and I don't know, is that sending the wrong message? But whatever the case might be, right? Imagine if you're making and we'll just use the 100%ers, right? Roughly, they're making $4,000 a month if they're at 100%, right?
Tax-free.
And it's not exactly that, but it's close to it. We're rounding up, right? We're using VA math. So if they're getting $4,000 a month, right? That's not too shabby for not working anymore. But I think what I'm hearing from you is they should take that and consider potentially investing it or finding a way to ensure that they take some of that money and not just spend it all with reckless abandon.
You're absolutely right. You do have to live, so you do have to spend some of it, but don't spend it all.
Right.
That should be from paycheck number one until today. You shouldn't spend everything of every paycheck.
Right.
Some is yours to keep, and you got to have that discipline, or you will not be successful.
And the government has to take their share. And you and I, we did a little experiment with the AI, and apparently the AI is pretty smart. Right? It's not exact, and it has just some tiny adjustments we can do with it. But hey, it came up with the answers that
Very close.
Very close to it.
You want me to explain that?
If you want to, you could.
Okay, I've got a chart in my office with ICA, that's Investment Company of America. If you invested $9,450 when it started in 1934, and your grandfather or father gave it to you and didn't touch it, didn't spend a dollar, didn't put another dollar into it, it grew for now 90 years because we 2024, right? And it averaged at a very high average for those 90 years, 12%.
Yeah.
And so I asked people, what do you think the end amount would be? And they, very small amounts, $1 million maybe. Well, the answer is $267 million. That's what it would be, and I let everybody get impressed with that.
Yeah.
And then I said, but it's not real. Well, why isn't it real? Because real life, you have to pay taxes on profits and dividends. And so we have to take the money out to pay the taxes on it. If the taxes was 30%, it wasn't 30% at $9,450, but it certainly is more than 30% at $267 million.
Yes.
So just use 30%. 30% of 12 is, 4.6, right?
Okay,
So you have 8.4 left over after taxes. So I said, okay, after paying taxes, how much would this account be worth instead of $267 million? And they all come up with numbers. But when they find out that bottom line after taxes is only $15 million, that means $250 million was lost because you paid taxes.
That's right.
So when you were asking me, Karina, what's your biggest
charity?
Charity?
Mm-hmm. That you donate to?
To the
taxes are the biggest charity.
Because I said HMI, and then he said, "Oh no."
No,
okay.
because it's a big difference. So if you can reduce your taxes over the long term, it'll have major implications on your success of retiring independently. we never talk about the products until we come to the conclusion of what you want to do and where you want to go.
Okay. And, man, we're going to have to get you back in here, and we'll talk even more in depth about that another time, because this is something that, you know, educating our veterans is going to get them to start seeing and hearing what you're saying. And, by the way, maybe the next time you come in here, we'll talk about those 4 books that you co-authored, and we'll at least get these folks to start
I'll bring
reading.
you one.
Oh,
Very
yes. Thank you, and thank you. We will see you next week. Wow, that was a good show.
That was very fast, too.
Yeah, very fast.
Oh, my gosh.
We
All
will
right.
see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Carl. And, you know, keep doing the good things.
My pleasure.
All right.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3
Winds
HD3.
forecast to kick up again
The
this
Point
week in
is
Los Angeles, increasing the danger of spreading wildfires.
Be prepared to evacuate. We keep going back to that. But with this next wind event, got to stay informed. Follow all evacuation warnings and orders. And the key here is without delay.
That's LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley. Fox's Max Gordon has more from Malibu.
The scope of the devastation really is jaw-dropping. The Palisades fire burned right up to the Pacific Ocean. Multi-million-dollar homes reduced to ashes. Now, where we are, the fire burned right up to the Pacific, had nowhere to go. But on the eastern end of the fire, that's where we saw the bulk of the fire activity. The fire making a run for the neighborhood of Brentwood. Firefighters say that things are relatively buttoned up there, but the threat is not yet over. We're expecting more high winds into next week.
And at least 24 people are confirmed dead. President Biden promising extensive federal support for California, but some are claiming the response is stagnant.
President Biden is here at the White House meeting with senior officials, getting the latest briefings on those fires in Los Angeles. The White House saying President Biden meeting with his FEMA and DHS chiefs. And over on ABC, Deanne Criswell was asked why hundreds of active duty forces, including Marines, have not been used to combat the fires. Late last week, 10 Navy helicopters arrived from San Diego. They have also not been used. On Sunday morning futures, Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty was critical of officials in Los Angeles and in California, including Governor Gavin Newsom. He says he wants to hold hearings to find out what went wrong with this response.
And that is Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. America's listening to Fox News.
Fox News Audio presents the Fox Nation Investigates podcast. A look into the Menendez brothers with victims or villains. Then, Judge Janine Pirro and a panel of experts break down their new fight for freedom with monsters or misunderstood. And follow 3 incredible cases where world-renowned forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Botten helps change the course of the investigation with the Botten Files. Listen and follow at Fox